What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back for another search engine optimization tip video. In today's tip video, I'll be walking through canonical tags and talking about what they are, why they're important for SEO, and best practices for implementing them on your website. So in a nutshell, a canonical tag is a method used by webmasters to inform search engines that the master copy of a web page is represented by a particular URL. So basically, using the canonical tag eliminates issues created by the presence of quote-unquote duplicate material on different URLs. And the canonical tag tells search engines which version of a URL you want showing up in the search results pages. I've mentioned this in other videos and posts, but Google hates duplicate content because it makes it harder for them to determine which variant of a page they should be indexing in the search results. When Google has to choose between multiple web pages to display in the search results for a given query, if it's faced with multiple instances of duplicate content, it may choose to not show any of those pages, which can hurt your website's keyword rankings. And so Canonical serve the purpose to consolidate what's known as, link equity from backlinking toward a single page, rather than splitting it amongst multiple pages that don't have canonical tags. And also, duplicate versions of the same page also eat up what's known as crawl budget on Google. So Google only has a finite amount of resources it uses to crawl websites in its search index. And after a certain point, it will just stop crawling a website after reaching a certain number of pages. And this is troublesome if you have a particularly large website like an e-commerce shop with hundreds of thousands of product pages. And so Google will use and reference canonical tags to solve these types of problems. Because again, it indicates to Google, which page should be ranked on the index, which page should be ranked or indexed in the SERPs, and where link equity should be merged for your priority pages. So, as far as implementing canonicals go, you will include them as HTML in the header of your website, so before the body tag. And here's a quick example of what the canonical tag looks like in your header. And as far as best practices for implementing canonical tags, the couple of rules of thumb that you should follow is one, every page on your website should have a self-referencing canonical. So for example, if we're looking at this AutoNation Chevrolet website, this URL should self-reference itself. So the canonical should point to this URL. And it's okay to have canonicals point to the page that they're listed on. That's good practice. You also want to make sure that you're using the exact URL. So in this example, using this full URL, and not something like /vehicle search results. You also want to make sure that you're using the correct root domain. So in this instance, we have this encrypted URL, so https www. So you want to make sure that the correct root domain is used in the canonical instead of something like, for example, https. And you also want to make sure that you have canonical tags in place for any URL parameters that you set. This happens often on, again, e-commerce websites where you can filter inventory based on URL parameters. And this creates what's, again, known as duplicate content because you have very similar information on this page compared to just the full vehicle search results. So making sure you have canonical tags in place that point to your preferred URL that you want ranking on Google or Bing or search engines. A couple of other tips. When it comes to near duplicate content, most webmasters think that with canonical tags, it can only be used for identical duplicates. But you can also use them on near duplicates as well. There's some debate on this subject, but for very similar websites, such as like product page that varies by currency, location, or small product attribute, it's okay to use canonical tags, but you just have to be careful on where they're pointing, because any of the non-canonical versions of the page won't rank on Google. So you just have to make sure you know what you're doing as far as pointing those canonicals properly. And also for cross-domain duplicates, so let's say you do a lot of press releases on your website, or you have like a news syndication network where you're posting the same article on 6 different websites in your network. You can choose which one of those pages either is the original page or the one that you want to be ranking on Google. And so you would implement canonical tags on the 5 out of the 6 pages that aren't the originals or the preferred page, and then point those canonicals to the preferred page to help improve keyword rankings there. And then the last quick tip is to avoid using canonical tags for any pages that are no indexed. So if any pages have the no index tag attribute, or you don't want those pages showing up on Google, you don't want to include a canonical tag. Just because to Google, having both a canonical tag and a no index tag can confuse its search crawler. And so to avoid that confusion, you would just want to have either one or the other. So either a canonical tag if you want the page to be indexed and rank on Google, or just the no index tag if you don't want the page appearing on Google. So those are a few quick tips as far as implementing canonical tags for your web pages on your website. If you found this tip video to be helpful, be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all for the next search engine optimization tip video.